let's try this again. I'm having a really hard time trying to get this done, but what I'm doing here is saying goodbye for about the 4th time now to my Power Performer, Macintosh Power PC Performer, which is a 5260 model, purchased second-hand by way of a friend of my mother's for the purpose of getting me through university. My other videos were a little bit too long, so I might just sort of cut this down a bit. First things first, the black keyboard. The explanation for that is I spilled water on the original keyboard. So the people at the Apple store in town, they were just a reseller, they just said, look, we've got this on standby, be quicker just to give it to you than to dry out the other one. It is a, I don't know if you can see that in the light, a proper Apple keyboard. Goes in the back as normal, mouse attached. But yeah, people were still interested in this for sale, which I'm waiting for the guy to come and have a look at in about an hour or so. People are still interested in it, even though it didn't have the original keyboard. So there's people out there who still want it. But the major draw card I have on this, interestingly enough, now from what I know, I need to look at pictures online to check this, but this sensor here, whether or not that's actually on the other models, I think it may be, but basically what that does is it hooks up to a VCR component at the back here. So what you've got here is your, why can I not get that in shot? See there, you've got your video capture card with the AV ports in there. So you've got the red for the visuals and the white and yellow for audio, I believe. And to here, you've got the coax port for a TV antenna. So if you stuck your standard rubber ears in that, or ran a cable from your wall socket to there, to the coax, just ran your normal coaxial cable, you could run this as a CRT TV. So for some reason they decided, previous owners put that in there. I have no idea why. I don't know why they just didn't buy a TV, to be honest, but I think they were trying to save money. And I'm just stupidly putting this back in. Now that is a brand new power cord I got from Dick Smith, because the one I had for it was a bit old and was tripping my fuse box. What I'm going to do now, just having a look at that now, there's your front face. I'm going to turn the puppy on, and I've been running it on and off just to test the power cable more than anything, make sure it doesn't trip again. So if I hit the button as normal, I'll probably just leave it running until the guy shows up. You can see here you've got your standard startup, little power light, little clunky clunk noise, and your happy little startup screen. Now the operating system on this that I did not touch in any way, just kept it running the whole time, was 7.5.1. Does have virtual memory installed, but to be honest I don't think the hard drive was all that big, and there wasn't a lot to this. It wasn't a very powerful machine, but it did manage to run a few things relatively okay. And you can see little plugins and everything in there. So with the video and audio-visual stuff, that had its own software, and you would basically just open it like an application. It would just open like a little sort of QuickTime type screen that would run the TV, and you could run the TV in the background as well. So just ran it like another application in Multifinder, and sneakily watch TV in the back while you were doing assignments, as I did sometimes. Now that message you can't see there is basically saying, wow, 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 I want a new clock battery, which I don't have, so I'm going to have to break the news to the guy. If he wants it, he will have to do something about replacing that, because I'm pretty sure it's either dead or dying, given that it's whinging about it now. A few things that this had that other machines may not have also had, or other people may not have been running at the time, was this program called Avid Video Shop. Now, This is sort of predates the iMovie, obviously. The iMovie, she says. Which is a great program, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a bit weird now, but this was more or less the same. I had to turn virtual memory off to run it, but it was pretty basic. And I mean, I never used it for personal use or anything like that, but it was quite fun. You could add soundtrack to it quite easily. Very easy to use, and it sort of came with these. You can see you're in Canvas, and you came with clips that you could play with. So if you just have a look there, I might try and blow this up a little bit. Okay, it's not going to get any better. Little clips came with the application, or if you had the smarts, knew what you were doing, which was easy as well, you could just run the TV video stuff, video capture card, grab a bit of footage and splice it in, and really you could make movies with this, but it was slow to render, I suppose. I wouldn't have tried to make anything substantial with it, and there wasn't much I could do with it when it was finished anyway, so really did get a lot of use out of that, even though it was quite fun. So I'm just going to quit out of that. Now, I ran a bunch of other stuff on here. One thing I was lamenting about losing, which I think I can run on the Mac, on my Mac Plus, but I'm a bit loath to use that because it's very, very old and the keyboard's starting to die on me. This was Super Paint. I just want to show you this because this was quite fun. It had all the functionality of the original Mac Paint software from yesteryear. However, this also had the funnest thing ever, which were these crazy little stamps. You can see a little bit closer every time you hit the mouse and lay it down, it just randomly selects another stamp. So unless you wanted a particular stamp to pop up all the time, you would basically just sit and run around and you could kind of draw with them and like a paint tool. There was a bubble one, and there were so many of them, and I used to have hours of fun creating little labels and things, and I would make Christmas cards because there was like a Christmas one, and I just went to town on this, and it was so much fun. You can see a little Christmas one there. So, every year grandparents' Christmas cards were made by Super Paint, which was amazing. So I just loved this. It was probably one of my favourite applications for the Mac available. I don't think I have a virtual version of this on my laptop from memory, but if I could find one, I would use it all the time. No colour to it, as you can see. Well, as far as I remember, there was no colour to it, because it was that old, but it seemed to be something that was quite old that would still run fairly well on this, because the reality was anything before OS 7, you really tried to run it on anything after OS 7, you would not have a good time at all. In fact, I think I severely affected the Power Mac trying to run older applications on OS 8. So I learnt that the hard way. So even After Dark wasn't very happy with that either. This was really such an old piece of software that I love to death, and this is, like I've said before, this is going to be the main reason. This was why I didn't want to let this machine go, because it's the only thing I have that runs After Dark. And why have they not rebooted this, or somebody bought the rights to reboot this? I have no idea, because it would just be so popular to have this on newer machines. I mean, come on, seriously, it was the best. Nobody's really ever made screensaver programs. Like, nobody just bothers making screensaver programs, obviously, because, well, it just comes with your standard screensavers now, but I think it would just, be the coolest thing ever if they rebooted this. But they haven't really, so you have to sort of get dodgy copies of it that don't really run properly. And oh god, I turned virtual memory off and now it's not going to let me run Flying Toasters, but I did have a video previously where I've run that. So really you needed to have virtual memory on to run it by the look of it, so I might have to put that back on at some point. But it did run, and I have something on my Instagram proving that it ran, so I might try and pinch it from that. Now, yeah, you have to restart to get virtual memory back on, but I'll do that before the guy comes. But anyway, there might have been other things on here that ran without it, but it was fantastic. I'm sorry, everybody knows that it was fantastic. If you want to look up clips of it on YouTube, there's all kinds of things on there. You had your basic magic turtle and bad dog, which was the best. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and there was like, yeah, the deluxe model that had a bit more to it. Fun with that. So there was tons of stuff on here, so if you ever got bored with anything, and there were desktops available as well, as you can see, if you ever got bored with your screensaver, you could just boot up After Dark, switch to something else, run that for a while, flick it back to something else, and you could just spend hours just, you know, deciding what one you wanted to use. That was the fun part, just picking one. Now this could theoretically run a very basic version of Netscape. I doubt it could run Explorer, but there were iterations of browsers that would have worked fine on this. And there is a port for a modem at the back as well as normal, as there always has been. I decided not to try and boot it up because I really wasn't that great with dial-up modems, I just couldn't be bothered. And yeah, I think I've pretty much gone through everything now. So really what I'm doing is saying goodbye. And I'm sad to see this go because it still kind of works, but the reality is I can't and don't use it that much. It has been sitting here on the floor pretty much doing nothing for months on end, waiting for somebody else to buy it, and after somebody went cold on me, another guy has, when I re-advertised, has gone, yes, I will have a look at it. Whether or not he'll buy it tonight, he might go cold on me, we don't know, but he's going to apparently come and check it out, which will be really awkward, and I don't really know what to tell him, but that's what it is. And the other reason I'm letting it go is because this thing that I'm not getting into shot very well, my inherited 27-inch iMac, just came in on the weekend. So really this is going to make way for that. I mean, theoretically, if I wasn't getting bar stools, I'd put a desk in here and put it on there, but I will probably have to invest in some kind of desk for this, because there's no way I can sit on the floor and use this. It's not going to work, but I could use it as a DVD player, just as a multimedia function, rather than use it just as a standard desktop. I mean, decisions. I could do all kinds of things with it, but I haven't thought that far ahead. I mean, my priority really is to get rid of this one here first, and kind of frees up a bit of room for the potential of putting in my parents' eMac if they ever give it to me. But that's another argument for another day, and they might decide not to, or I might get told that I can't have any Macs in here anymore, because really I am now up to 6, including my laptop. Albeit 3 of those are laptops, which don't take up a lot of space, but I also have a Mac Plus in the other room, which is kind of on its last legs. And I'm not letting that go for anything. I've decided if I'm going to hold on to any of them, it's going to be that one. But I have parted with a Bondi Blue iMac and a Macintosh SE computer, both of which weren't working anymore, so that's why I was quite happy to let those go, because they were kind of useless to me. But this had some use. It's got games on there I could still play, like Lemmings and stuff, and it's got After Dark, and I'm gonna miss After Dark so much, and it's got the Super Paint, and it was just a fun little machine, and a lot of memories. I'm not going to turn the camera again. A lot of memories. Yeah, but it's got to go. I'm not using it. So we'll see what this guy says. If he doesn't want it, I'll see if anybody else picks up on it. It's had quite a few hits on Gumtree, so people out there do want them. There is a market for these, which I was trying to argue to people, that people do want them, because they're Macs, and they're cute, and we love them. So I'll say goodbye now, and I'm sorry that it had to come to this, but really I have to be sensible about things. And how many CRT devices in one house do you really need for something that is now obsolete? really it's got to go, and it can't go to a trash facility vis-a-vis rubbish tip because I just can't see Macs in there. I can happily see a mountain of PCs in there because I don't give a shit about PCs, but this I love. So goodbye, and thank you for watching. If you did stay on for the entire 15 minutes, well done, because I'm boring the stuffing out of myself right now. So goodbye.